At 6:00 p.m., I will call the meeting to order. Mr. Parker will lead us in roll call. The invocation this evening will be led by Councilwoman Daniels, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilwoman Rawls. Our communications listed on our agenda this evening, we were supposed to hear from Ms. Rafika Muhammad regarding a presentation on the Living Memorial Project. However, she is unable to join us, so we will not have any communications this evening. We will then open the floor for courtesy of the floor. Please take a few minutes, if you have not, to review the minutes for the legislative session that occurred on October 11th, 2022. Next, we will hear reports from two committees. I will share a report on behalf of the Administration Committee on the work session of October 18th, 2022. And Vice President Green will share a report on behalf of the Budget and Finance Committee on the work session of October 18th, 2022. We have one ordinance for first reading, that's Bill 11 of 2022. We do not have any ordinances for amendment. We have one ordinance for final passage, that's Bill 10 of 2022. We will then move to resolutions. First, we have Resolution 59 of 2022, which we will vote upon. Next, we have Resolution 62 of 2022, which we will vote upon. Resolution 63 of 2022, we will vote upon. Resolution 64 of 2022 will move to the Budget and Finance Committee. Resolution 65 of 2022 will move to the Community and Economic Development Committee. Resolution 66 of 2022 will move to the Public Works Committee. Resolution 67 of 2022 will move to the Public Safety Committee. And our final resolution for tonight is Resolution 68 of 2022, which will move to the Administration Committee. Is there any old business for discussion tonight, council members? Any new business? Councilman Rodriguez, would you like to announce our pre-trick-or-treat night bash for tomorrow? Okay. Any other new business? Okay. And then we will adjourn. So we will officially call our meeting to order at 6 p.m. Thank you. Would like to call our legislative session to order. Mr. Parker, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Ms. Daniels,
Here.
Ms. Green,
Present.
Mr. Mattson,
Here.
Mr. Majors,
Here.
Ms. Rawls,
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Present.
and Ms. Bowers.
Present. Thank you. The invocation this evening will be led by Councilwoman Daniels.
If we could all have a moment of silence for those who are struggling and experiencing violence at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Daniels. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilwoman Rawls. Thank you, Councilwoman Rawls. As I noted during our caucus, our agenda states for our communications this evening that we were to hear from Ms. Rafika Muhammad regarding the Living Memorial Project. However, Ms. Muhammad is no longer available this evening. We will now move to courtesy of the floor. Just a few housekeeping notes. If you are interested in sharing a public comment, please state your name and your address. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your address, please share the vicinity in which you live. You will have 2 minutes to share your comments, and Mr. Parker will serve as our timekeeper. So I will begin to my far right. Is there anyone who would like to offer public comment?
Yes, good evening. My name is Bear. I'm from 1616 Revere Street, Southside Harrisburg. I'm just coming to you today because this weekend, October 29th, we're having a CBTU event, Halloween game night. It will be from 5 o'clock till 10 o'clock. 2 free drink tickets included. It's at 150 South 43rd Street in Harrisburg. If you have any questions or anything, you can go to Eventbrite, CBTU Halloween Game Night 2022. And my number is there also, which is 717-877-6625. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the right section that would like to offer public comment? Seeing and hearing no one, anyone in the middle section? Okay. Seeing and hearing no one, anyone to my left? Seeing and hearing no one, we will move forward with our agenda. Council members, we will now approve the minutes for the legislative session that occurred on October 10th, 2022. Are there any revisions? Seeing and hearing none, the minutes stand approved. We will now move to reports of committee. The first report you will hear from, I will deliver on behalf of the Administration Committee on the work session of October 18th, 2022. On October 18th, 2022, the Administration Committee met to discuss 3 resolutions. Resolution 59 of 2022, Resolution 61 of 2022, and Resolution 63 of 2022. Resolution 59 of 2022 is a resolution to recognize the 600 block of Woodbine Street as the Reverend Billy Gray Way. Mr. Dred Scott spoke on behalf of Mr. Michael Cooper and William Penn High School alumni from the classes of 1962 through 1967. Mr. Scott introduced to some and reminded others of the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Billy Gray. Mr. Scott spoke of the great impact Reverend Gray had on his peers, other boys and men he encountered through his work at the YMCA, and the legacy he leaves for others to follow. Mr. Scott requested that Forest to Woodbine Street along the 6th Street corridor be named in honor of Reverend Billy Gray. Reverend Marla Gray, Reverend Billy Gray's daughter, was present along with his grandchildren, J.J. Massey and Sequoia Gray McCullough. Reverend Marla Gray spoke about her father while sharing a beautiful collage of pictures. Reverend Marla Gray shared about the Renaissance man her father was. Reverend Billy Gray was a leader. He served as the first Black lifeguard for the YMCA, the former IMC president, and a Boy Scout troop leader. Reverend Billy Gray was a strong advocate of education. He provided opportunities for Harrisburg students to tour historically Black colleges and universities, more commonly referred to as HBCUs. Reverend Billy Gray was an athlete. He was a Golden Glove national champion. Mr. Caleb Jackson, our city's unofficial historian, was present and endorsed the recognition of his classmate. Mr. Jackson discussed Reverend Gray as an athlete and church member. Council members shared comments relating to the preservation of history needed within our city for our youth. One question was asked clarifying the signage location. I read the resolution in its entirety. I encourage my colleagues to support this resolution honoring the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Billy Gray. Next, we discussed Resolution 63 of 2022, which is a resolution to recognize the 600 block of Harris Street as Judith C. Hill Way. Mr. Jeffrey Hill, Miss Judith Hill's son, was present along with her niece, Miss Jocelyn Barbie Hicks, and nephew, Mr. James Fountain III. Mr. Jeffrey Hill shared a full biography of his mother. Mr. Jeffrey Hill shared that his mother's background as an educator was always present in everything that she did. He mentioned that Miss Hill was a proud graduate of William Penn High School, class of 1946. She received an academic scholarship to attend Virginia Union University, where she became a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Miss Hill was an educator, having taught French in Montreal, Canada, and Webster Elementary School in Harrisburg. Miss Hill was actively involved as an administrator in the merger of William Penn High School and John Harris High School, resulting in Harrisburg High School graduating its first class 50 years ago in 1972. Ms. Hill later became politically involved, serving as a campaign manager, then later as a candidate for Harrisburg City Council. Ms. Hill became the first Black woman to serve as a member of Harrisburg City Council. She also served as a member of the Harrisburg School Board. Mr. Pete Baltimore spoke on behalf of his best friend, Mr. Jeffrey Hill, in support of the recognition of his mother. Mr. Baltimore shared that Ms. Hill was committed to her family, students, and her community. She truly loved and guided children. Ms. Jocelyn Barbie Hicks remembered her aunt as an encourager. She has offered words of encouragement to family, friends, and students. Council members shared that Ms. Hill was a phenomenal woman. Once a teacher, always a teacher. Councilwoman Rawls shared several commonalities with Ms. Hill, serving as the Parks and Recreation Committee Chair and sorority sisters as members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I also read this resolution in its entirety. As I mentioned last week, several members of council are literally standing on the foundation that Ms. Hill has set for us as the first Black woman to serve as a member of this legislative body. It takes courage to be the first. It takes compassion to be the first. It takes conviction to be the first. and heart to know that you will not be the last. Representation matters. We are grateful for Ms. Hill's service to the city of Harrisburg as a former council member and as a member of the school board. I encourage my colleagues to support this resolution to honor the life and legacy of Ms. Judith C. Hill. Finally, we discussed Resolution 61 of 2022, which is a resolution appointing Nathan Davidson to serve on the Board of Directors of Capital Region Water, a municipal authority. Mr. Nathan Davidson was present to participate in an interview with council members. Mr. Davidson is the fourth potential appointee brought before council by Mayor Williams. Action will be taken on all four potential appointments at a future legislative session. This concludes the work of the Administration Committee. The next report you will hear will come from Vice President Green, our Chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, on the work session of October 18th, 2022. Chair Green.
Thank you, President Bowers. Good evening, everyone. During the work session of October 18, 2022, the Budget and Finance Committee met to discuss two pieces of legislation. The first is Bill 10 of 2022, an ordinance for giving and discharging city real estate taxes, including interest, penalties, and costs, and striking off tax liens for the properties of 1510 and 1513 Market Street. During our meeting, we had a representative from the Shalom House, Ms. Harvey, was present to give an overview of the services that their organization provides. The city solicitor informed council that the reason this resolution is here is because it was an administrative error when the building was sold to the Shalom House, which is a nonprofit organization. I encourage my colleagues to support this bill. The second piece of legislation discussed by the Budget and Finance Committee is Resolution 62 of 2022, a resolution approving the second proposed 2022 budget reallocation. Mr. Brooks, the budget manager for the city, gave us an overview of the proposed reallocation, which includes increasing budgeted amounts for demolition services, overtime, and public works and codes department, legal expenses for the planning bureau, and medical expenses. That would allow the city to meet the needs for the rest of the year. These funds would come from miscellaneous contracted services, office equipment, salaries, and wages that were unused so far this year. This means that no funds would come from the fund balance for the city for this budget reallocation. I would ask my colleagues to support both Bill 10 and Resolution 62 of 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Green. We have one ordinance for first reading tonight. That's Bill 11 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes. Bill 11-2022. An ordinance reenacting ordinance number 9 of 2017 for the purposes of reauthorizing within the city of Harrisburg an area previously designated as a neighborhood improvement district, redesignating the Harrisburg Downtown Improvement District Corporation, a nonprofit entity, to administer the same, accepting an updated business plan for the district and reauthorizing assessments for the operation thereof, and meeting all other requirements under the Neighborhood Improvement District Act for continuation of the same, and repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts of ordinances.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Bill 11 of 2022 will move to the Administration Committee. We do not have any ordinances for amendment this evening. We do have one ordinance for final passage. That's Bill 10 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes, Bill 10-2022. An ordinance for giving and discharging city real estate taxes, including interest, penalties, and costs, and striking off tax liens for the properties 1510 and 1513 Market Street.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Council members, are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Bill 10 of 2022? Okay, seeing and hearing none, Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Rawls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez, and Ms. Bowers.
Yes,
Bill 10 passes unanimously, 7 yeas to 0 nays.
thank you. We will now move to resolutions. The first resolution for action this evening is Resolution 59 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes. Resolution 59-2022. A resolution to recognize the 600 block of Woodbine Street as the Reverend Billy Gray Way.
Thank you. Council members, are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 59 of 2022? I do have one note. During our meeting last week, Mr. Scott, as I mentioned in my report, requested that Forest Street and Woodbine Street both have signage reflecting Reverend Billy Gray Way. I noted at that meeting that I would speak to the mayor about it and we're fine to move forward. So that would mean that there's signage around the Y on both sides. So I just wanted to note that before we took our vote. Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Rawls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Absolutely.
and Ms. Bowers.
Yes,
Resolution 59 of 2022 passes unanimously, 7 yeas to 0 nays.
thank you. Next, we have Resolution 62 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 62-2022. A resolution approving the second proposed 2022 budget reallocation.
Thank you. Council members, are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 62 of 2022? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels,
No.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Rawls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
and Ms. Bowers.
Yes,
Resolution 62-2022 passes with 6 yeas and 1 nay.
thank you. Our final resolution for action this evening is Resolution 63 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 63-2022. A resolution to recognize the 600 block of Harris Street as Judith C. Hill Way.
Thank you. Council members, are there any questions, comments, or concerns related to Resolution 63 of 2022? Seeing and hearing none, Mr. Parker, could you please call the vote?
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Rawls,
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez,
Absolutely.
and Ms. Bowers.
Yes,
Resolution 63 of 2022 passes unanimously 7 yeas to 0 nays.
thank you. Next, we have Resolution 64 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 64-2022. A resolution approving the third proposed 2022 budget reallocation, authorizing a prepayment in accordance with the terms of the third amended and restated settlement agreement between the City of Harrisburg and AMBAC Assurance Corporation.
Thank you. Resolution 64 of 2022 will move to the Budget and Finance Committee. Resolution 65 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 65-2022. A resolution approving a preliminary final land development plan to convert the existing building located at 1510 Market Street into a 14-room supportive housing facility with shared living facilities and accessory supportive services.
Thank you. Resolution 65 of 2022 will move to the Community and Economic Development Committee. Resolution 66 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes. Resolution 66-2022. A resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the Township of Swatara for the purpose of allowing for ongoing use of a compost facility owned by the Township of Swatara.
Thank you. Resolution 66 of 2022 will move to the Public Works Committee. Resolution 67 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 67-2022. A resolution of the Council of the City of Harrisburg ratifying modifications to the 2020-2025 collective bargaining agreement between the City of Harrisburg and the Fraternal Order of Police, Capital City Lodge, number 12.
Thank you. Resolution 67 of 2022 will move to the Public Safety Committee. Our final resolution this evening is Resolution 68 of 2022. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes. Resolution 68-2022. A resolution authorizing the city solicitor to designate counsel for the performance of certain prosecutorial functions on behalf of the City of Harrisburg.
Thank you. Resolution 68 of 2022 will move to the Administration Committee. Council members, is there any old business for discussion? Okay.
President Bowers, just with respect to Resolution 63 regarding recognizing the 600 block of Harris Street as Miss Judith Hill Way. A few years ago, right before the pandemic, I was at a event and was lucky enough to win participate in an auction, and I was a successful bidder on a painting of a portrait of Miss Hill. I was looking for the best place to place it. I had been in contact with the school district about placing it there, but in light of this, I think there'd be no better place for it to be potentially displayed here in City Council Chamber. So with your permission, I'd like to bring it in and display.
Sure, I would love that. Thank you. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other old business, council members? Okay, seeing and hearing none. Any new business?
Yes, Madam President. Wanted to speak about the trick or treat night. Just to remind our friends and family in the city of Harrisburg, you can join the Harrisburg City Council for the 6th annual pre-trick or treat night bash. That will be October 26th from 5 to 7 p.m. Harrisburg Fire Station number 1 is on 1820 North 6th Street, and also simultaneously Harrisburg Fire Station number 8 is 9 South 13th Street. Costumes will be encouraged. We'll have safety tips and fun activities and refreshments. So let's see those kiddos out in their best costumes, and we hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other new business, council members? Just had one congratulatory note. The Harrisburg High School boys varsity soccer team is still on a roll. They are now the 2022 Mid-Penn Capital Division champions. A number of the players were named all-stars for the division. And now they are competing in their first playoff game in school history. So go Cougars, know that we are so very proud of your success thus far, and we're excited to see how the season will resume and end. So good luck there. Council members, the time is 6:25 p.m. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.